Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far and welcome to today's video, which is going to be me trying to get to grips with these new Westman Atelier bronzing drops. Now, if you know me, you'll know that I'm not really a cream person and I'm never a liquid person. Liquid blush, liquid highlighter, liquid bronzer, typically terrifying. And this is like worst case scenario of a product that scares me to my core. So I'm going to be sharing all of my thoughts on these drops, showing you how I've been using these, what I think about them, and whether I think they're worth your hard-earned money or not. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so Westman Atelier have launched these new Sun Tone Hydrating Matte Bronzing Drops. They are available in 4 shades and they will set you back $58 for 30 ml, the same size as your standard foundation. However, they come in this really portable diddy little package, which we love to see. So each of the 4 shades of these drops come in a different coloured component so that you can tell if you have more than one shade in your drawers, you can tell which shade is which based on the colour of this packaging. I have the shade Dark Tan, which as you can see is very rich and deep, but also can be used with a much smaller amount to be usable for someone with my skin tone. You know, these are very versatile. You've got a really deep, rich amount of shade there, something in the middle, and then something really subtle. These are very versatile depending on how much you use. However, if you are around my skin tone, I certainly would have gone for shade 2 if it had been available, but I was able to purchase this early, who is a personal shopper, and she is able to get lots of products slightly ahead of their official launch, especially here in the UK, when who knows when this may show up. So we went with the only shade that was available and it's absolutely workable for me. But if you want something that's a little easier to use on a light medium skin tone, I would have gone for shade 2, which is the medium tan shade. So these are described as a feather light liquid bronzer that leaves skin with a wash of sun-kissed warmth and a hydrated shimmer-free matte finish. Light coverage, buildable liquid bronzer that layers and blends seamlessly for a believable bronze that's never streaky or tacky. And it does say in the how to use section that you can either use this all over your face if you're trying to bronze up and maybe match your body to your face in the summer if you pick up a bit of a tan like I do. It could be a product that you might use in that way, or used as a bronzer strategically where the sun naturally hits. It's completely up to you. I've also seen people suggesting you might be able to mix this with your foundation. That's obviously going to be quite undertone dependent. From the looks of all of the swatches of these different shades, although this is the only one I've seen in person, they all look quite neutral, almost cool leaning. They are described as warm, but the swatches do all look at least quite neutral, which I like to see because a lot of us don't want a very warm orangey bronzer. These all look really quite neutral, which I do like. So I do have 2 shades of Westman Atelier's contour sticks. So I thought I would swatch these next to the bronzing drops so you can kind of see how they compare with undertone and depth and everything. Okay, so here we have Truffle and Biscuit in the contour stick, and then here is shade 3 of the bronzing drops. So you can see much deeper than both of those when sort of blended quite a bit, but still swatched quite heavily. I will say I have been using these for a few days, just trying to get to grips with them better so that I can really help you guys figure out whether these might be for you or not. One thing is I don't like the packaging. It's really messy. I wiped this so that when I showed you it close up on camera, it would look slightly less awful. But immediately it's all covered in the product. Again, the little nozzle there. It's also not as easy to control the amount or the number of drops that come out. I feel like with these drop products, it would be good to have something like, I know lots of people don't like them, the the component, but the Hourglass blush drops, where one drop comes out at a time with something really pigmented like this, I feel like that would have been better, so you can squeeze one drop. But if you squeeze this, a whole load comes out, and then I feel like it's very wasteful, especially if you're trying to use these as bronzer and you're losing a lot of product every time, especially as it leaks a bit in the component. So I don't love the packaging. I wish it was easier to control, but maybe I wouldn't have minded so much if the shade wasn't quite a bit too deep for me. But I'm looking rather ghostly and one-dimensional right now. So let's jump into the application and the demo of these drops and see how they perform on the skin, because I think you might be surprised. So always give these a good old shake. Obviously any kind of liquid product with a fair bit of pigment needs a good old shake, and you see what I mean with that. A lot of product out there outside of the packaging and inside the cap, there is a lot of spillage. So I literally will take the tiniest little bit of this, literally a drop or two. And then my favourite brush that I found for these bronzing drops is Sonia's Sheer Buffer. Just perfect for anything that's a bit intimidating and sort of too pigmented or too dark. And I just work the product into the brush on the back of my hand. And then you can see how natural this is and how it can just really seamlessly and easily build up and blend out, because it looks so dark when you swatch it. But if you use a really small amount and a light hand and a really good brush, you can make a lot of things work for you that perhaps you didn't think you could, but certainly these bronzing drops. So it does have a more matte finish. I found that it's very light and thin of a texture, you know, there's nothing sort of visible on the skin. It really does look like invisible second skin natural bronze. And it blends very easily. It's definitely not too warm. Like I said, it looks like all of the shades lean quite neutral, almost cooler for bronzers. Certainly this shade, given that it is quite deep for my skin tone, but it's good enough to see how we like the formula and whether I want to go back for like a better shade for my skin tone when it is more available here in all the shades. But that tiny little amount, you know, has done a beautiful job of bronzing. And it certainly is uber buildable as well. You know, you really can add as much as you want and get as much bronze as you would like. Fragrance wise, I've got a little bit of a cold still left from when I had flu over Christmas. I'm still sort of just picking up every little cold going, still just trying to get my immune system back on some kind of shape, you know, would be ideal. But I really can't smell anything at all. It could be that you can, but there's certainly not sort of heavy fragrance in there or anything, because I literally can't smell a thing, which is great. But I feel like everything about this is very, very natural and seamless. I don't mind it being matte. I was kind of disappointed when I first sort of saw the early images about these. I sort of thought, oh, that would be gorgeous, glowy bronzer. I kind of thought because the contour sticks were creamy and matte that this might be a glowier product, but it doesn't look flat or dry because it's that cream formula. It really does sort of melt into your foundation and just look beautifully natural and seamless and really undetectable on the skin, which I think is really, really pretty. And you just don't expect, you know, I bet when I was swatching that in the opening, lots of you were terrified for me, and with good reason. I'm just going to go over them now with my Hourglass Luminous Edit, and you can see, although that's a liquid, it does dry down and set, so you can apply powders like blush or highlighter over the top seamlessly, almost immediately pretty much without any problems, and it's just going to be really silky to blend on top of. Definitely a lot easier than I thought this product was going to be. This is really my nightmare of a product. Something really, really pigmented, liquid format, terrifying, okay? It is very runny, watery, messy, horrifying to someone such as myself, but actually extremely easy to use. And I feel like I could see this being really versatile as well. You know, you could mix this with foundation, you could mix this with some SPF, you could use this on top of makeup or just by itself. It really is quite versatile of a little number. So as I said, I have had these for a good few days now, and I've been trying them. I've tried with a sponge, which will soak up a lot of the product. So if that's what you want, because you're proceeding with caution, I understand you, then a sponge will apply them beautifully, evenly and subtly. But my favorite way has definitely been a couple of drops on the back of the hand and this amazing sheer buffer brush, which has never let me down from Sonia when dealing with, you know, a scary pigmented cheek product. So that's my favorite way to use them. I can't really see me mixing this with foundation because I just think because of my undertones, that's just going to throw the undertone off. But I do see me sort of trying to mix this maybe with a liquid illuminator to get like a stunning glowy finish as well. If you want that extra glow, I don't find these too matte. I find these very natural and skin-like, which surprised me. I think I just saw the word matte and expected these to look a bit too makeup-y or a bit unnatural, a bit too heavy and powdery perhaps, but they dry down and they don't feel sticky or tacky at all. They set down, but they just look like skin, uber natural, even though I'm using such a pigmented too deep for me shade. Uber natural and really easy to use, even for me when, like I said, I'm terrified for these types of products, if I'm being really honest. So a pleasant surprise. I would love the packaging to be slightly different and easier to, you know, get a smaller amount out and tidier, because it does hurt my eyes slightly every time I open this and there's just product all in the cap and all over the nozzle. It slightly hurts my soul, but they don't leak, so it's not like, you know, it's not, you couldn't put it in your makeup bag, it won't go everywhere, it just leaks within the cap, if you see what I mean. So I would love that to be different, but it is very portable, very travel friendly. You know, you could certainly take this on the go. I don't know if this is the sort of product you would need to top up throughout the day, because I do find them to be really long wearing as well, actually surprisingly so. You know, I've worn these over a real sort of light layer of skin tint a couple of days ago, and it was completely still there and fresh looking on my cheeks at the end of the day. So I think they're long wearing, I think they're super natural and quite versatile. So I'm definitely going to be picking up a lighter shade of these, because although I can clearly make these work and they look absolutely fine, I would like to use them with slightly less fear in my soul, if that would be possible. So there you have it. Please let me know, are these the sort of product that you too are terrified of, or are these right up your street? Please let me know all of your thoughts, whether you plan to pick these up or whether you have your eye on something else instead. Let us know in the comment section down below, as usual, all of your thoughts on these new Westman Atelier bronzing drops. But thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, and I would love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye 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 bye.